Hello everyone, welcome back, and if you're new, hello. This is another super rambly voiceover, so like usual, feel free to use this as a podcast of sorts. Anyways, this is a really late video in almost every regard, as in I procrastinated filming it, making the art, I procrastinated editing it, doing the voiceover, and now here I am, like 2 months after I finished my last sketchbook, finally uploading the process of creating my new sketchbook. So let's talk about procrastination, my reasons for creating art, and the use of sketchbooks in general while I bind my newest sketchbook. And later in the video, you'll see me paint on the first page. But before I start, I just want to put out there a little spoiler. This is the finished piece that I painted, and I put out a poll on my Instagram asking if anyone would like to see this as a sticker, and people seemed into it. So if you're down to get this piece as a sticker, there's going to be some more updates on that. It's really exciting. You could check that out in my next video. I'll say something, and on my Instagram, there'll be updates. All right, so back to the main topic here. I'm binding a new sketchbook. I'm not going to make a tutorial or anything, seeing as the tutorial that I used from YouTube's bookbinding mother, C Lemon, is honestly all you need. So if you would like, you can try and follow along with my video, or you could have a way easier time and check out the video I used. I'll put it in the description box. Anyways, back on topic. If you watched my last video, actually my last 2 videos, I toured my most recent sketchbook, which I finished in January and filled in entirely in quarantine. Yet it took me till the end of January to film that tour, till mid-February to make my new sketchbook and paint in it, and I'm finally recording this voiceover here in mid-March. So you could say I put off the process of making the sketchbook and the video for quite a while, which isn't really atypical for me. If you're new here, I talk about my procrastination, or rather self-sabotaging a lot in art, a lot in these videos, but as it is with most people, it's something I would like to change. So I like talking about it here as I try and evolve and grow and whatever and work on it, because I think that's what it'll take for me to get anywhere with my art. Anywho, like I was saying, it's pretty normal for me to procrastinate with art and other things. And part of that is procrastinating with my videos here. That's why I've only made a handful of videos within a full year of being on YouTube. Usually I procrastinate stuff for the typical reasons, not feeling prepared to create what I envisioned, or perfectionism and feeling scared to mess up the idea I have in my head, or, just general laziness. But I noticed something interesting with the procrastination of making this sketchbook. I put off making the sketchbook mostly because I'm going through like a general quarantine-induced art block thing right now. But even though I didn't have a sketchbook, I could have very well pulled out a piece of paper and drawn at any point in the month between finishing my sketchbook and making the new one. It was like a full month. But I didn't. I painted a little bit, like some self-portrait stuff, which you can check out on my Instagram. But specifically, I've avoided painting anything personal without a sketchbook, which is kind of interesting. Like, it's not like I haven't had ideas or been itching to create art, but I've actively been making more and more lists of things I want to draw, which is something I said I would change in my last sketchbook tour. But despite all the ideas, I refused to do anything until I made a sketchbook. And I realized this is, I think, because I love having all my art for one period of time in one place, Like, a sketchbook is essentially a journal of how I navigated the world for that period of my life. And although, admittedly, I don't necessarily feel like I'm as, expressive or honest as I'd like to be in my art, I do know that anytime I make art, just the act of sitting down alone means I fought off the laziness I often feel with creating. And, the urge of creating art was strong enough that even if I just painted a portrait or created something from reference, the act of sitting down alone to create is strong enough to forge an important memory in my head that's worth containing in my sketchbook. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like what I'm trying to say is that if I was willing to fight the laziness and the procrastination, it means I must have had enough going on in my life that I needed to create. And I'm happy to have those memories contained with this sketchbook, Like when I work in a sketchbook, I'm essentially creating a little world, or literally creating a book that will hold my world for the next few months, which is kind of insane. Like, these blank pieces of paper that I'm binding together right now will soon be filled with memories of a time I could not even begin to predict. And there's something kind of beautiful in not knowing how important these pages will be to me someday, and what period of my life they will represent. And, if there's something I know for sure, it's that I've never been able to predict where my life will take me. Even if I'm actively making choices, I'm usually pleasantly, but still surprised by the outcome of how much I've advanced towards goals and how my situation has improved and changed. Like, my life is moving so quickly right now, and these pages will soon reflect the changes that I can't even predict right now, if that makes sense, which is crazy. When I look back at every sketchbook or journal that I've ever had, it's just there's so much documented in there that it feels wrong to draw somewhere else. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to get over restrictive art habits, but regardless, this sketchbook will one day become one of my most prized possessions that documents my life, just like all my other sketchbooks are. A life that isn't even mine yet at the point of recording this video, because only a couple of pages of the sketchbook are filled in. I don't know, how cool is that? Anyways, like I was saying, for me to actually fight my poor art habits that I've developed further during quarantine and actually draw, there's usually a good reason why I was able to fight them. Like, I needed to create, or I'm stressed and I need the piece of drawing, or I have so much going on in my head I just want to try and document. So I started thinking about different reasons why I create art in the first place. I think my relationship to art is complicated, to say the least, as is everyone's. Creativity is messy, and we put pressure on ourselves to create something that is probably best and most easily created if we could just forget about that pressure in the first place. But I feel like for some reason I hold a lot of potential while also feeling like I have none. Like, when I ignore outside influences, like artists I look up to, or my parents, or friends, and this is probably true for anyone, but when I ignore everything else, I feel like I have something, basically, I feel like I have enough creative potential. Whether or not I can execute the ideas, I feel like I have enough good ideas that if I combine that with follow through and some good luck, I could do something with them. But I have not actually begun working on any of these projects, and technically I have nothing to prove to anybody that this potential exists, except for some narcissistic belief that it's in me. And I think my relationship to art and creativity is messy because it's such a personal thing, right? Like, until you've made something that others can draw their own inspiration from, there's no outward want for what you're making, or praise for completing a project, or any other reward that you finish something, except for the feeling that you finish something. And how is that enough to finish things? That's something I find difficult. I'm getting off track, but I think what I'm getting at is that I have enough in me, I think. And I think so does everyone in the world, to create a lifetime body of work. Like, I'm not saying I don't need more practice and experience. I'm just saying I think I have the inspiration and ideas and projects worth creating somewhere inside of me. And if I was just to give any of them enough time and follow through to the end, I think they could become something of worth. For example, this YouTube channel, right? Like, I know, based on my analytics and the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff, if I was to post consistently, like once or twice a week for a continued period, I could probably make something of this channel. Like, maybe I can make money from it, or make connections that could lead to other things, or like, who knows, like, it's all open. But I'm aware that when I'm working on it, if I could follow through and make consistent content, it would probably be beneficial to me. Even if it's only a way for me to get my ideas out, or improve my writing, or improve my speaking skills or something, it's still, no matter what, working on this YouTube channel will be beneficial to me. Yet, despite the fact that I have tens of ideas every day for new videos, I obviously have trouble posting at all, forget consistently. And so even though I love creating art in the form of visual art or videos or other forms, like writing, whatever, I obviously struggle to get myself to make it, just by the fact that I don't post on this channel, or my sketchbooks take so long to fill up. And I've started, I've been reflecting on why I create in the first place, to try and fix that. And I think I figured out that I have so many reasons for creating art, which I think explains why my relationship to creating is so messy and complicated in the first place. My first reason for creating art is pretty innocent. Like, I just genuinely enjoy the pure feeling of creating. In visual or traditional art or writing, like, I just like the feeling of putting pencil down on paper, of numbing my mind and letting my hand and body try and express what's going on in my head. And generally I have no idea what I'm making. It's just like I'm making marks, and if I want to analyze it later, there's probably a meaning, but I'm just making a mess, And without expressing anything at all, I'm expressing like so much that's in me, and it's the only thing, like, creating art like that is the only thing that allows me to quiet my brain, because I think, even though I'm thinking, obviously, I go into a meditative state when I'm creating in that way, when I'm just letting myself paint or make marks and make a mess, which I think is why it's so hard to force myself to create, because I'm asking myself to lose control, and I am a certified control freak, and I'm asking myself to sit down and ignore all the other work, because I am always putting off work, and I know that if I sit down and draw in that way, even if it'll calm me down, I am going to spend hours in that state of just wanting to create, which I don't usually want to give up that much time. Anyways, that first reason for creating art kind of directly contradicts another reason, which is documenting my thoughts and specifically attempting to express certain ideas. Like, for example, when making this voiceover, one of the reasons I put this off for so long, even though I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about, is because I'm not exactly able to speak freely because I have an end goal, Like, I'm specifically trying to document something and express something, as opposed to my first reason for creating, which is just to express anything. I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is, like, my first reason for creating is just to create, is just to get out whatever's in my head. And my second reason is I have a specific purpose in mind. And I think it's hard to create this way, especially with visual art, because I have specific end results in my mind. And rather than create and allow myself to adjust as I go, I'm specifically trying to get as close to a hazy end product idea that I have in my head, taking away the freedom of creating. Anyways, that's why this voiceover is so all over the place, and why all my voiceovers are so all over the place, is because I usually have a specific idea I want to express, but then I end up just allowing myself to speak freely, and by doing that, it's messy, and I forget my points, and I get off topic, but at least then I create something. Anyways, that leads perfectly into another reason for creating, which is to create a final product, Like, I want to create a product that people will see and get. Like, for example, if I was trying to create an idea just for myself, it'd be a lot less complicated. But I'm trying to express something in a way other people will understand as well. For example, by creating this video and this painting and posting it online, I want it to be seen and related to and liked. And, the painting I'm creating on the first page, I had envisioned it as a sticker, which means I want everything here to be comprehensible and aesthetically pleasing and, a nice end result. I don't even want it to be an end result. I want it to be a good final piece of work, like something that makes me proud. And it's not good enough for this video or for this artwork to be expressive or to have been enjoyable to create, because I have aesthetics in my head and visuals, and I'm thinking about how other people will take in the information. And that's why this voiceover turned out like this, is because I had certain things I want to talk about, but I end up just going off topic instead. But obviously I have a lot more reasons for creating. I think I've been a little lost lately, though, because I want every piece of work I create to be all three things. I want every piece of work to be mindfully meditative and enjoyable to work on, but I also want it to be expressive for both me and for others. And then I also want it to be a good, attractive, aesthetic, final piece of art. And that's kind of like a bit much to ask of myself, which is probably why I put off creating and I procrastinate so much, So with this sketchbook, I'm trying to kind of work on my relationship to art. I realized when I was creating most of the art in my life that I really like today, I actually created that art over multiple sessions. Like, I would paint something and then leave it for a few days, and then I'd think of something else to add it, and then I'd add something else to it, and the piece would just develop naturally. And even if I was spending a lot of time pondering what to add to it, I wasn't spending a lot of time pondering how to create the piece, if that makes sense. Like, I'm just trying to challenge myself to create when I have ideas, which will mean less thinking about final products and more thinking about the current product, and less pressure to create a piece that looks like the vague outline memory of something I want to create, and more just creating that'll be done. Because I know if I put enough time into anything, there's gonna be results, right? Like, it may not be aesthetic results, but they should be beneficial to me in some way. Just by finishing anything, it's a good thing, I think. Anyways, here you've seen me bind my new sketchbook and paint on my first page of my sketchbook, and being that this is my first video in a while, it is in many ways a new start. So here we are. Hopefully, if I have learned anything from my voiceover here, it's just that I want to create, so hopefully this will be the first video of many to come soon, and well, if it's not, then I am obviously still working on my art habits, which I guess I'll constantly be doing for the rest of my life. Anyways, thanks for watching. I know this one is like one massive ramble, and that's because I spent over a month wondering how I could express everything I wanted in a voiceover, and then putting it off and writing a new one, and I've just decided in art in general right now, I just need to do it. Like, even if it's not a pretty final result, I just needed to sit down and record a voiceover. So yeah, it's expressive, and it's messy, and disorganized, and debatably incomprehensible. But it's done. So I can move on to another idea and keep improving and keep putting out final results. And I think with every final result, I'll get to a result that I like. Anyways, don't forget, if you're interested in getting the piece of art that I painted in this video as a sticker, there'll be some updates in my next video and on my Instagram page, so I'll let you know. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you soon.